What's cracking? This is the Drunksman, aka Cobra 55, here to talk to you about Division Survival Mode PvE. I've got 10 tips and tricks that'll help you extract every time with the maximum amount of loot to forever be the envy of your friends and family. For those of you new to the survival mode here in the Division, you're dropped into the game world with a mission to extract antivirals from the Dark Zone and get as much loot as you can before you succumb to the virus as the timer slowly counts down and you move your way throughout the city. Now you're going to start with only a hazmat suit and a pistol, so you're going to need to move through the city, collect craftables, guns, armor, and clothing in order to extract safely. Okay, let's jump right in with tip number 1, plan your route from the start. This means that when you wake up in the hideout, get on that world map and plan a place where you're going to head next. This could be helicopter crashes, enemy fortresses, or even just the general direction that you want to head. And you want to make sure you do this so that you're not stuck out in the open, in the cold, looking at your mini-map, possibly getting snuck on by enemies. You want to do it from the safety at the beginning to increase your speed. And this brings us to tip number 2, speed in general, especially early on. You want to get out of that hideout as fast as you can. Don't wander around. Don't even worry about picking up the fabric or the medicine that's in there. Hit the streets fast. This way you get in front of other survivors and you control the loot table. You see, there's nothing worse than walking up on empty box after empty box knowing that you were just a few minutes late to this guy that's getting all that good loot. You want that loot for yourselves to make the fight at the end much easier. So now that you know where you're going and you're out in front of the other survivals, let's talk about tip number 3. Know what you're going to need to get into the dark zone and to extract. You're going to need a virus filter to be able to enter the dark zone. That's going to cost you 2 blue fabric and 2 blue tools. All the movement around the map, all the crafting materials that you find, you want to know that this is what you're looking for to be able to get in the dark zone. The guns, armor, all that stuff is great, but you're not going to be able to get into the final part of this mission without crafting that stuff. So keep an eye out for fabric and tools, especially early on as you're running through the city. And that brings us to tip number 4, stock up on consumables. You see, in survival mode, when you're down, the only way to get up is to use a medkit to revive yourself, and that can be dicey as best. Now, food will provide you a slow health regeneration, especially after you've been eating it, and curb your hunger throughout the mission. Now, this means that you want to keep food on hand and keep yourself fed to make sure that your health is always going up, especially in times where you start to freeze because of the cold, or you get into a fight you don't want to and you have to escape. Now, the other side of consumables, water and soda. What these are going to do are they're going to let you see items that you can loot from further away than you would. This has immeasurable value in survival mode. The tools you need, the guns you could find, the armor, all that stuff is easier to see exponentially when you've taken the soda and the water, so keep those on hand. Now I will speak about the third kind of consumable, medicine. We're talking about medicine and painkillers to stop your virus. Now this hour-long plus countdown you have to extract can be stopped with virus medicine and painkillers. I'm of the mindset that you just kind of leave these behind unless you're new, very new to the game, and you can't extract within that hour. You can pick up these medicines. They're just as available as anything else, but I haven't really had much of a problem. Even when you start to get down in that 10-minute range, you'll be fine and you can extract fines. But remember, get the water, get the food, save the cheerleader, save the world. Now that you know where you're going and you're strong enough to get there, let's talk about tip number 5, managing your cold factor. One of the nuances here in survival mode is that it's constantly freezing, and that freezing temperature is depleting your bar gauge at all times, pushing you closer and closer to freezing. Now, once you're freezing, you'll start to deplete health, and you will not regenerate health regardless of what consumables you've taken. This could be a real bummer when you're out there in the middle of a fight, start to freeze, you can't regen your health, you get melted immediately. Alas, though, there is a solution. Finding clothing items and even crafting clothing items as you move into the dark zone. The higher you get your cold factor and the lower the temperature gets, the easier it'll be to stay out longer. You'll be worrying about finding barrels less. You'll become a real machine of death out in the dark zone. You've got guns, you've got armor, you've got warm clothes, you're feeling invincible. But you're not yet. That brings us to tip number 6. Bring a friend. No matter how good you get in these survival modes, if you're down, you could still get killed before you can even pop a med kit and bring yourself back up. having a buddy around. There'll always be somebody there to pick you up, to help flank enemies, and it really, really makes those fights exponentially easier in the dark zone and even as soon as you walk out the front door. One flip side to this coin, though, is having a friend around means you're going to share loot. Every box you find, everything you find, the rules apply just the same. You can't both take the same tools, the same weapon, the same armor, so you're going to be splitting that stuff up. Two guys weaker, though, I believe, is still better than just one powerhouse guy. Two guns shooting at the same time, the ability to dodge and flank your enemies is just invaluable in survival mode. And just having somebody to chat it up with while you're out on these cold, dark nights can really make the difference between an extraction and dying alone. And that takes us also to tip number 7. Helicopter crashes and enemy fortresses. These are the places on the map that will have the best loot. They're marked already for you when you've spawned, so you can head right to them. Here's the thing, though. Other players are going to go for those helicopter crashes because they know there's at least a gun there. There's going to be at least armor there and a few craftables and a barrel that you can rest at. There's a few guys usually to fight. They're not difficult. The hideouts and the fortresses are a little different. You're going to get big loot gains, at least one chest full of 3 items, but these are going to be tougher guys, and there's going to be a lot of them. It's going to be a difficult fight, nigh impossible alone, so you're going to want to bring your friends. Getting these fights and getting this loot can make you super powerful, but it is going to take a lot of time, and it is going to be hard to take down those large numbers of purple and gold enemies, regardless of where the hideout is. This is where you have to know which hideouts are easy, which ones are tough, which helicopter crashes have enemies that are easily killed, and which ones turn into a real shit show. The more you play, the easier it's going to be to understand which situations you want to walk away from and which ones you want to race towards to make sure you get that best loot to get you out of the dark zone the fastest. Now, if you listened to me earlier and you're moving quickly, those first helicopter crashes are easily get to and beat everybody there if you just beeline for them, skipping all fights and things like this. This is a good way to get a leg up a lot of times on the map and let you move towards easier objectives and be able to pick fights because now you've got a gun, you've got some armor and some clothes, and you're looking a lot better than that -1 loser standing in a barrel because he missed all the good stuff. Tip number 8, abilities. For me, this is real simple. There's one ability that you're going to want to have always, and that's Pulse. Why Pulse? Because you don't have radar in survival. You're going to find yourself early on in these matches just running into groups of guys that you had no idea were there because of the snow, because of the dark. With the Pulse, you're going to constantly be popping that Pulse, seeing where guys are around corners, seeing where guys are when you come down ladders and jump down buildings. Knowing where your enemy is the best way to decide whether you're going to walk away or stand and fight. And the critical chance and stuff gives you that extra advantage when you do end up getting into a fight. The second ability that I love is Ballistic Shield. Not only does it get you out of a tight spot and gives you a shield to take some damage and draw some fire, you can still fire back on enemies and do a lot of good stuff. Also, at the end when you're fighting the final hunter, the Ballistic Shield lets you get up close and personal. It lets you take some shots from him while your buddy does some damage. It just gives you a lot of opportunity to kill the bad guys, especially at the end of the map. So always try to go for Pulse and Ballistic Shield. You know, there are arguments for turret and things like that that always help. The medical station will let you pick yourself up. That's helpful, but I just think that the value that those two abilities provide is far and above anything else in survival mode. Tip number 9 is about division tech. Yeah, that's right. You're going to need it here in the survival mode, at least to craft a flare gun. Now, you don't necessarily need a flare gun to extract from the zone. You can piggyback off somebody else's extracting, but somebody's going to have to pop that flare gun, and to build it, you're going to need division tech. Now, when you pick up your antivirals, inside the dark zone, you get 1 division tech. Now, that's going to be enough to let you, if you've got the weapons parts and the tools, you're going to be able to build that flare gun to get out. Now, there is division tech hidden in other parts of the dark zone, and these are generally close to hideouts and some easy fights you can do, so learn the position of those division tech items, and then you can build gold guns while in the dark zone, and these gold guns and stuff like that are going to make all the difference in the world when you go up against that final hunter fight, arguably one of the toughest 1v1 boss battles you can have in this game, but it can be made easier by preparing the right way and getting division tech and eventually gold guns and all the stuff you need to defeat them. And finally, we arrive at tip number 10, and really this is an amalgamation of multiple tips I have for defeating one of the most difficult guys in the game, the Hunter. For those of you that don't know, the Hunter is the guy that comes down when you finally extract. You're going to fight one Hunter every time you extract. I've had times where it glitches and things and sends out 2 hunters. If you've got 2 survivals, you brought a buddy with you, then you're going to be taking on 2 hunters. I still find that it's easier 2v2 than 1v1. Now, here's the thing with hunters. They've got turrets. They got medical stations. They can hack your stuff. They jump around. They go for cover. They heal constantly. You know, it's like fighting another person in the dark zone that's really annoying and tough to take down. There are some things you could do. Number 1, Ballistic Shield. It lets you get up close and personal with these hunters. It lets you push the fight to them. You see, with the way that they heal, pretty much anytime they're out of combat, you have to take them down in just one big burst. That means things like that where you get close and burst damage helps a lot. That goes on to the next part. The Super 90. There's a gold gun you can buy in the Dark Zone, the Super 90 shotgun. The Super 90 is definitely one of the best shotguns in the game, and up close against these hunters with the fire rate and things like that, it takes them down hugely. Now, you've got a gun, and you kind of got a strategy against the hunters. Push them, push them, push them. Now, where do you go extract? There's one answer for me. That's the Dark Zone 2 extraction zone. That's the big parking garage with the extraction on the roof. Now, on the sides of that, you'll notice stairwells. Now, there's a stairwell on the east side of the map. Now, that stairwell, you can stand kind of on the second floor, aim out the window. The hunters will run over there, try to get down the stairwell, or stand on top of that crate and shoot down at you. This, for me, is the easiest way to get them out in the open, to push up on them and be able to get an easy kill without getting into a crossfire, dealing with their turrets and all their other bullshit that they drop down, and just get them as fast as you can and enjoying that extraction. Even with the Ballistic Shield, the shotgun, any armor, weapons, and grenades you found throughout your fight in survival mode, this hunter fight is going to be difficult. You got to be ready for rolls, seeker mines, grenades, constant healing, and turrets. Just be ready to adapt to the situation at any time. Always remember, head down those stairs. You can head out in the alley too. He will follow you out there, but at a lot slower pace. Don't be afraid to pull back and re-engage. That helicopter pilot will sit there for a huge amount of time, even after the countdown's ended, to let you fight these hunters and take them out. So that's it, guys. Those are my 10 tips and tricks for extracting in Division survival mode. Please let me know down in the comments your success stories, your just great stories for extracting and survival. Let me know some of the tips and tricks I forgot, because I know there's so many things you can do out there to increase your chances of survival. Let me know down in the comments, or tweet at me at the Drunksman, and thumbs up this video, and don't forget to subscribe. Look for videos all the time from the Drunksman. Don't forget to watch my other show, DVD Bunker, on the Tough channel. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you next time.